What's up, everybody? In today's video for the day, they did a Star Trek like preview stream, kind of like they do for all the stuff coming out, even though Hobbit is next. Hobbit's going to be at Amsterdam this weekend, so they went ahead and they did like a preview stream for Star Trek. Didn't really grow up watching Star Trek myself, so I don't have any stake in the game, but I do like Magic, and I do like talking about Magic cards, so here we go. I'm kind of I screenshot these as they were going, so I'm kind of reading them along with you, and we'll kind of talk about my first impressions. So we got the Captain James T. Kirk, which I know who Kirk is. Legend, 2 in a red, 2/2, legendary creature human officer. Whenever Captain Kirk enters or attacks, choose one. If you have no cards in hand, choose one or more instead. Okay, so you discard a card, draw a card, create a 1/1 red officer token, or creatures you control get 1/0. So when he enters or attacks, you get one of these. So discard draw is nice. No haste. If you have no cards in hand, choose one or more. So if you have no cards, you can do all of them. Off the top of my head, not a good commander like on his own. Draw discard is not bad. I mean, 3 mana 2/2, discard a card, draw a card. I'm sure there's a place for that somewhere. Overall, just like first impressions, I'm not really that impressed with it. I do like this like classic Enterprise art though. That is pretty cool. I enjoy that. We got Captain Catherine Janeway. Noticeable. This was like the first with the officers or the officer tagline, and these are like the captains. Captain Catherine Janeway, 3 and a green. Legendary creature, human officer, 2/3. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Already, I can tell you that's great. Whenever Captain Janeway or another creature you control enters, that creature explores. Reveal the top card of your library, put that card in your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, you get a 1/1 on that creature and put the card back on. Put the card back or put the card in your graveyard. Good golly, that is a great card. 4 mana 2/3 that lets you play an additional land on each turn. These cards are notably great. The only like thing that's missing to make it like Ice Till Explorer level is like you can't play them from your graveyard also. But then there was like Mole Man recently that lets you play them from your graveyard. So there's an abundance of these effects. However, whenever Janeway or another creature enters, that creature explores. That is unique and strong because that's going to let you put the land in your hand, which lets you play an extra land. Or if it's a non-land card, you're going to get a 1/1 on that creature, and then you can put it in your graveyard also if you don't want it on top of your deck. So that is great. Also, I prefer this classic Enterprise than this like El Caris frame, but this is like pretty cool and unique. Kind of reminds me of like video game level art. Then there was I didn't catch them as they were showing the image, but these are actually signed. Like they took them to William Shatner's office and Kate's and got these signed. So, and I think there was, don't quote me on this one, I think it was about 200 or so of each of these signed cards. There's only 2 of these shown here. I think there's a few more, but there's like 200 of each. So this is like your serialized card for the set, but with an actual factual signature. So I think these are going to be crazy expensive. Can you imagine like a Captain James T. Kirk signed by Shatner? Gnarly. So the Enterprise, I'm familiar with the Enterprise as well. We kind of assumed this was going to be a thing when we got Edge of Eternities. So 3 for 3 mana legendary artifact spacecraft with the station mechanic, and then whenever one or more charge counters are put on the Enterprise for the first time each turn, exile the top card of your library. You may play this turn. So this is a little cool in the fact that as you're stationing it each turn, you're getting to exile the top card of your library. So you're getting to go through your deck, turn through your deck. It's only 3, so I don't think that's that crazy for the effect. They did mention there was more than one Enterprise in the set, like a common one, for example, was mentioned, or an uncommon one. 7 Station for flying vigilance 4/5, not the best, not the worst, but if you keep stationing it even after it's already a spacecraft and able to attack, you still get to do the exile the top card of your library. So cooler than some of the things we saw in Edge of Eternities, I think. All right. So these were some of this is where I start like losing it, where I'm not, I know set phasers to stun or kill. I know that's iconic, but some of this other stuff going forward, I'm not the best at as I was with like Marvel, for example. But very cool. It's like choice cards, modal cards, set phasers 2 for 1 white, instant, stun, tap target creature, put a stun counter on. I think that's very effective for 1 mana. Or kill, 3 damage to target attacking creature. So a bolt for in white for an attacking creature. I mean, I guess it's not a bolt because you can't go to face, but you know what I mean. Consider the prime directive. You can interfere or observe counter target spell unless they pay 3 for 3. Or observe, tap up to 1 target creature, put a stun counter on it, and draw. I can see that being very annoying in standard because it's a counter or a tap, draw, stun. Yeah, that does seem pretty good. 7 of 9. So 2 blue and a black, legendary artifact creature, human scientist. Whenever you face a dilemma, which this was new, they talked about, draw a card. Facing a dilemma is anytime you have to choose one or more modes for a spell or ability. This is anything in the past as well. They're gonna go ahead and now anytime you do this, you face a dilemma and then you're able to draw an extra card. So even if a card says draw a card is one of the modes, and then you draw, then you're going to draw another one off of like 7 of 9. And that's, like I said, that goes back to any card that's ever been that you have to make a decision on. Hoshi Saito, Exolinguist, good golly, 4 and a blue, 3/3, legendary creature, human scientist. Federation. When Hitoshi Sato enters, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creature types among non-Borg creatures you control. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any random order. I think they were just showing off here like the Federation mechanic, and then kind of hinting at like the non-Borg. They mentioned nobody in Star Trek is an alien. You won't see the alien subtype because everybody is from somewhere, which I think is a pretty cool thing, and like sticking with the Star Trek thing because nobody's an alien if everybody is an alien, you know. Highly illogical. I do remember watching this episode with my grandpa growing up. So 1 in a blue for an instant with kicker, counter target spell with mana value 2 or less. If this spell was kicked, instead counter target spell. So 4 mana to counter or 2 mana to just counter 2 or less. I'm sure it's good in like, I'm sure it's decent in standard, but 4 mana to counter a spell is 1 mana too much in my opinion. But to be able to have it early and counter 2 mana spells is not terrible. So I'm sure this finds a slot somewhere in standard, and external I don't think so. Here's another one of the cool treatment arts. This is Assault Vampire, 1 in a black, 2/2 creature vampire shapeshifter. Lifelink, whenever this creature enters, look at the top. Look at target opponent's hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, that player exiles the card, then draws a card. Funny, salt vampire. People normally get salty when you look at their hands. Lifelink. So you get to look at their hand. You choose a non-land, but they get to draw a card. It is a 2 mana 2/2, so it's not terrible. I was trying to think. If you got to draw a card, this would be nuts. Look at target opponent. Yeah, I was gonna say you can't target yourself and get rid of a card that's like not good in the match, but we'll see how this one plays out. If it was like a 2/3, I think it would be a little bit better. Cool, like classic Enterprise art though. That's like really cool. So sagas are back. I think sagas are kind of like here to stay, especially in like UB because it kind of like tells the story of where we're at. So Amok Time, 2 and a green. This is when like Kirk and Spock fought. I do remember this episode as well. Target creature you control fights up to another target creature opponent controls. Then you gain 3 life, and then you return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So Nothing special per se. Fight is pretty decent, especially with some of the things that were from like the Marvel set. And then you gain 3 life. That's okay. But then return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand is not bad, especially in green for 3. I'm sure in like Saga's decks, this is pretty cool as well. This one was pretty wild. The City on the Edge of Forever. 3 and a white black. Saga, Chapter 1. All artifacts and creatures phase out. All. Create a 0/1 white human creature token with permanents can't phase in. Crazy. Treat phased out permanents and anything attached to them as if they don't exist. You draw 2 cards and each player loses 2 life. Then sacrifice a creature token. If you do, you gain 5 life. Now you can sacrifice your human here that has the permanents can't phase in. That way they do phase back in. So you can basically phase them out for 2 turns and then phase them back in if you sacrifice this token. Or you can keep them phased out and use this token to, block with later. But if they remove the token the same turn or the turn after your stuff does come back in, then they can like board wipe. But it just gives them like a sticky, like not a sticky, but like another permanent that they have to deal with before they deal with the board that you had. But it is 5 mana. But again, this is pretty solid for like commander decks in black and white because phasing is like a very strong ability. Then we got Dr. Beverly Crusher, 2 and a white, 2/2, legendary creature, human doctor. If you gaining life causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So then she even has, when you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on Dr. Crusher. So you'd basically put 2 1/1 counters on her. So it's like a Johnny Pride Mate Plus for 1 additional mana. Notable if you put this in a life gain deck and you have those cards that when you gain life something happens, it's going to happen at an additional time. I'm sure this goes straight into a bunch of decks that focus on that. It's got the Elkaris frame again, which it's starting to grow on me the more I see it. I kind of like it. Okay, then we got the Crystalline Entity, which is 8 colorless, 7/7 artifact creature, and it is an elemental. Flying, whenever this creature enters, if you cast it, destroy all non-artifact creatures, which I'm sure somewhere in the world, in Commander, this is crazy because you can improvise it out because it is an artifact creature. There's so much ramp in Commander and especially artifact commanders that you can just hold this one in your back pocket for destroying all non-artifact creatures. In the Pale Moonlight, 3 black, Chapter 1, each opponent sacks a non-token creature of their choice. A little high for that first chapter. Typically, it's like 4 mana to get this kind of effect out. Then you investigate, which I also don't think is that crazy for a chapter 2. Now you're on turn 6. And then you may sacrifice an artifact, which can be your clue token. If you do, create 2/2 black Romulan creatures. This one, I just don't like this one, if I'm being honest. It's like 1 mana too expensive for me just to do anything, but it's got cool characters that I'm sure people like, and I'm sure they're going to build, put this in decks that they want. This they mentioned that they're going to even be bringing some of the animated TV series to the cards, kind of because they're just going to cover kind of like everything, except for the J.J. Abrams movies. They were going to be in like the art that you'll see coming up here in a little bit. So Brad Bromler, Eager Ensign, and Beckett Mariner, Impetus Ensign. I'll start with Brad is 1 and a white, 2/2 legendary creature, human officer. Lifelink, whenever Brad Baumler becomes tapped until end of turn, if 1 or more counters will be put on that permanent you control, that many +1 or that many +1 of each of those counters is put instead. And then Beckett is 1 and a red, 2/1 human officer, first strike. Reckless behavior, whenever Beckett Mariner becomes tapped, put a promotion counter on her. So then Brad would double it. Then if there are 3 or more promotion counters, want to remove those and deal 2 damage to each opponent. So they mentioned that they want them to work together because they're always together in the show. You can see them in each other's art, which is pretty cool. It's almost like pseudo. It's not. I guess it's not pseudo partner, but I'm sure there's like house rules where somebody could like partner these together. and they could build like a Boros deck around them. Pretty cool. And there's going to be more cards that are kind of like this. Then this is the one where they're going to use like the J.J. Abrams movies art. They didn't want to put it in the main set, but they did say the Star Date cards, which are the bonus sheet that comes in like all these sets now, with the reprints. So we got Khan, Engineered Evil, 2 black black, 4/5, which is just Shieldred the Apocalypse, which is great reprint. The Death Touch, whenever you draw a card, gain 2 life. Whenever your opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. So that's a pretty cool reprint. I like the original art myself, but that is pretty cool art. Then this was a big one. They're all 10 Shocklands are coming back in the main set, not in like the bonus sheet or anything. These are just straight up in the main set. So if you like some of this iconic Star Trek art and you want some Shocklands, personally, I think these are phenomenal looking, and especially when we go to this next slide. The first ever textless Shocklands. Got tongue-tied there for a second. These look insane. Like, this is what I imagine could have been like the what happened on the Shocklands from Edge of Eternities, but we got like the porthole art lands. But these are great, man. I love the lighting on all of these, and they did mention that they were going for that. And it's got like that frame that is still growing on me the more I see it. So I think I'm gonna have to pick up all 10 of these myself. Nothing crazy going forward here. These were like the welcome decks where they're kind of just like you bring your friend, you get the welcome decks, but some of these cards in the past, I'm not saying all of them, like there's been some welcome deck cards that got expensive because people were seeking them, and then the LGSs were like out of them because people just come in and take them for the cards inside. Typically, they're not that strong because they're like intro level decks. Picard is like 1/1 counters. When a creature enters, draw a card. When its creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter, and then whenever card enters or attacks, put 1. So it's just like 1/1 counter theme, very basic. They're normal. See, he's high costed. He's 6 mana to get that theme going, but just to teach people to play. Then you got Spock. I think this is like the first Spock we saw, but this is a welcome deck when there are more coming, more Spocks. 3 blue, vigilance, draw a card, 3/5, so you can attack, and then you can also draw a card. Then Q, I'm not sure the significance of Q. You let me know down in the comments. Everybody seemed to freak out when they showed Q. And I know there's like something in the commander decks going forward that everybody was excited about. But anyways, 6, 4/5, vigilance, ward 2, can't be blocked. Guy playing a piano. Sweet. Borg was they stuck on this one for a second. 4 black, Borg Queen, Perfection Manifest. This is the first time you're actually seeing the Borg type. They talked about it earlier on that one card, the blue card. But artifact creatures you control get 2/0. Okay. When Borg Queen enters, assimilate target creature from an opponent's graveyard. So you put it on the battlefield under your control with a 1/1, and it becomes a Borg artifact. So then it basically gets 2/0. So it assimilates. So let's just say you bring a 1/1 back. It's a 1/1 with a 1/1 counter. So now it's a 2/2, but it's also a Borg artifact creature and it gets 2/0. So now it's like a 4/2. And then you got Bio Asset Allocator, 3 black, 3/4. Artifact creatures you control have whenever this creature attacks, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Again, like this would be a 5/4 because it's an artifact creature Borg. So this is a higher costed one. I'm sure there's other Borg ones, but I can't see a world. This is one of those ones I'm talking about. If you're building a Borg deck, why would you not go after this welcome deck that has this 6 mana Borg Queen in it and gives all your basically Borgs and things that are assimilated into Borgs 2/0? So this is one of those ones I'm thinking that people will seek after, and hopefully it's not like ridiculously priced because of such. Then you got Kirk, Enterprising Captain, 3 in a red, Human Officer, 4/3, Menace. Whenever Kirk attacks, while creatures you control have total power 8 or greater, exile the top card of your library. And then you can play it this turn. 4 mana, 4/3 is not that bad. It's got a lot of things going on with it. But then you got Klingon. I know Klingon. 3 red, 5/5, trample haste. Whenever this creature dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. Yeah. I mean, It's welcome deck stuff, but it is your first look at like Klingons. Then you got your green one, which is Benjamin Cisco Besiege for green. Play the top card of your library revealed. You may play lands and cast creature spells from the top of your libraries. And they mentioned landfall. And then there was like a lot of green in the main set had landfall as well because you're traveling to different planets and landing upon them. Landfall. This creature can't be blocked by more than one creature. This is so Tenacious Tusk. Sorry, 3 and a green, 4/4. This creature can't be blocked by more than one creature. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on it. Again, welcome deck stuff to me. This is all the product line that they were going over. Kind of going to break it down a little more in the slides. The play booster art is kind of sick though. So is this like collector booster art. So there's 4 commander decks with it. You got Federation Fleet, Landing Party, which they said was going to be like more focused on the original stuff. And then you got Klingon Fury, Mardu colors, pretty cool. And they said you'll be attacking a lot in that one. I can't really read the. I'm trying to read. Keep. So Federation Fleet is seek out card draw and charge your starship. So this one's going to be your starships. And then you got Landfall with this Bant Landing Party, which is Strange New Worlds. And then you got Show Your Aggression, hit the whole battlefield. So this one's probably attack and maybe hit everyone, which is kind of a cool theme. I like stuff like that. And then We Are Borg. Maybe there's a better Borg queen in here than the one that we saw in the welcome deck, but I think it's cool. It's Esper. Then you got your beginner box, which has some goofy art, man. It comes with 8 jumpstart decks, which is pretty that's pretty good. Wait, they didn't. Is there jumpstart? I don't see jumpstart in their product lineup, but this does say 8 jumpstart decks and more. But the beginner box for like Marvel, they were semi-random. Like, I don't think you could pull Doom out of it, etc. Like, so I don't think there'd be anything jumpstart wise that's like gonna be crazy. And then you got your scene boxes, which each one comes with 6 new cards. And then they make the scene, which is kind of classic for the UB stuff. And then you got your J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie stuff on the scene box Divergent Timeline. And then here's the Q stuff again, which looks goofy. It reminds me of like Deadpool, but like in Star Trek with butterflies and unicorns and all that stuff. And then that was I took a picture of this art. I think this art is pretty sick. So this was their ending screen, and this is my ending screen. So don't mind the Marvel thing. Are you excited for Star Trek? Just a reminder to like and subscribe. I'll be covering all of Star Trek. We'll be covering whatever's shown in Amsterdam, which I believe is Hobbit, and some of the future stuff. And don't forget to follow me on Twitch as well. And we'll play some MTG Arena whenever we get around to it. But this is the kind of videos I like doing right here. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.